Hey guys, Nabil here. I'm back. Well, still demonetized, but I'm back. And I had to think about all this stuff, and I will still be working on YouTube here. I think we figured out what the problem was, and I'll make a video about that another time. But today is something special. We're gonna talk about something special. As you know, tomorrow is gonna be the release of the new team, the new DLC team, Southtown team with Geese Howard, Billy Khan, and Yamazaki. And with that, of course, we have the highly anticipated patch, the balance patch that we've been all talking about. We've been waiting for a long time. Is almost here. It's actually dropping in a few hours, and SNK was generous enough to give us the balance patch notes, so we know what's changing. This is what this video is about. Now, before I get started, a gentle reminder to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so that you are notified whenever I drop a new video. Now, we're gonna check those balance changes, and they are plenty. I'm not gonna go through all the characters, but I'm gonna go through some of them and just talk about how, in general, this patch is gonna change the game, because mark my word, it is changing the meta of the game, which is pretty exciting and scary at the same time, and we'll talk about some stuff. So I'm gonna go ahead and first share the balance patches here with you so we can talk about them. Alright, so first things first. I just wanna, get that out of the way. There is no, as far as we can tell, no fix yet for the matchmaking issue that's been a lot of the community has been vocal about, which is it takes a long time to get some matches specifically on the PC version of the game, so there's nothing about that in this patch. Now, with that said, let's check some of the system changes, because there are plenty. So first of all, rollback behavior, improved rollback performance when lag occurs, so this supposedly will give us a better online experience, and I honestly think the King of Fighters 15 is one of the best fighting games out there when it comes to netcode, so I'm not really worried about that. I wasn't expecting to be any changes though, so if it's getting better, why not? Room search can now search again when looking for a room. All right, it's just some quality of life changes. Results. This is very good. This is really good. So can now select on the results screen in rank match, casual match. This was huge, because when you play in rank match or casual match and you lose, you can't change the order. You have to go with the same order you went in. So if you make a mistake, or if you want to change things depending on your opponent, you can't do that. That was really frustrating. Now this is fixed, which is absolutely great. Same thing in room match, but it excludes party versus. Training mode play side, so I added a play side normal or inverted in the pose menu. Normal PlayStation. Player 1 character is controlled by player 1 controller when training begins or when it's restarted. The inverted state, the player 2 character is controlled by player 1 controller when training begins or when it is restarted. Recording information is reset when changing. So this, again, just a little bit of cool things added to the training mode. Training mode restart change specifics that will now allow players to change their character's position when restarting. So back plus restart button, restart on the left side of the stage, down in the middle, right on the right, it's actually diagonal down, restart on the left side of stage, player 1 character is on left. So it's a lot of cool, like shortcuts. Again, gives you the ability to quickly reset things when you're training, which is, this game needs a lot of training, so that's good. Assigning a restart button, assign restart button through button config. So people who don't have, if you're in the PlayStation, you're playing with a controller that doesn't have the pad, then you can actually assign it to something else, which is, I think, is really, really good. Training mode, controller recognition. A controller recognition screen now pops up when heading on to training mode. If a controller is not connected, then pressing the space key can be used to confirm. Only on Steam, Epic Games, and Windows 10. Video encoders. There was this issue some people were having where they couldn't see the videos. They had experienced some trouble playing videos, so added the video decoder settings under graphics in the option menu, so you can change the settings, software, hardware tab if you experience trouble playing videos. So that's, again, system-wide changes. Let's check some of the more important stuff. This is some of these were not expected, and it changes the game. Let's see. Hurtbox during jumps for all characters. the lower portion of the body hurt box is now invulnerable to projectiles during jumps. This is huge. This is absolutely huge. This does not apply to jump-based attacks from command moves or air dashes. This does not apply to jump attacks that do not have the normal size of hurt box. So that means jumping over projectiles is now easier, which means the projectile game for the King of Fighters 15 has changed. People cannot rely only on projectiles right now. Projectile characters are kind of like a disadvantage right now. Well, not disadvantage, but they're less powerful because you can easily jump over the hurt box has been reduced so that you can jump a little bit easier over projectiles, which is big. It doesn't sound that big, but trust me, this is a big change. Another big change, crouching LK for all characters reduced damage from 30 to 15. The damage has been reduced by 50%. Reduced stun frames from 30 to 15 and reduced guard crush damage from 60 to 30. 50% reduction in the damage, frames, stun frames, and guard crush damage from crouching LK. This changes the game again. It is clear that SNK does not want people to play the King of Fighters 15 like KOF 14, where you go and just try, go with those LKs and then cancel, which is, everyone's still doing that. But now the damage is going to be lower from those LK hits, which again changes the game. This is huge. I didn't expect that, honestly, and I think it's fun. Blocking, increased power gauge earned, it doubles it from 10 to 20 when blocking immediately before getting hit. So again, you get a little bit more power, double the power gauge earned when you block. Ease in command input window. This is a little bit vague, but I think I understand what this means. Some command moves can now be executed even if the button is pressed 1 frame before the last directional key input. This is really good because I've been talking about this. I play Clark, as you probably know, and I've been having an issue in 15, which I didn't have in 14, which is to follow up with his Argentina backbreaker, his grab. I couldn't follow with it, because I couldn't follow with the elbow. And it's because the input was very strict, and I think this is gonna fix it. A lot of people were saying that the input in 15 was a little bit too strict, and this is gonna fix that. So this is the fix for that, and I think this is gonna, this is good news for me because I've been losing because of that. So for the characters, I'm not gonna go through all the changes because they're massive, and there's a link in the description where you can see for yourself. But I'm gonna talk about some characters and some big changes that we've seen. Now, as we said, the meta of the game itself has changed now with the projectiles not as scary as they used to be. We don't know how that's gonna change the overall game. We have to see. So most characters are getting buffs. Shunei, for example, has been buffed. I'm not gonna get into the details. Mei-Ten-Kun a little bit. Benimaru is one of the characters who's really getting a big plus and a big buff in this patch. He's faster. He can link his far standing HK into super moves. His frames for crouching LP and HP have been reduced. In general, Benimaru now seems to be a very strong character. Speaking of other characters that were getting buffs, Isla is a little bit faster and the damage is a little bit higher. We'll see how that's gonna translate. Dolores was nerfed, and again, just a tiny bit. I don't have time. It's gonna take me hours if I go through each one of these changes, but we'll do that when the patch comes out. By the way, Hydern had small buffs. Not sure how that's gonna translate. Is a little bit. Some of his moves are faster. Not sure how that's gonna translate in game. Kyo didn't get much except for his close standing HK, which is now 6 frames instead of 9 frames, and the 115 Shiki Dokugami has an expanded hitbox. So that will make it easier to combo into the Shiki Oniyaki, I guess. We'll see. Iori his speed has been increased, so he's faster. Some of his moves are also faster. Some of his moves are a little bit slower. We're talking about 2 frames here. Like the LP Fireball now is a little bit slower. But in general, because of his increase in speed, I think Iori will be more viable now. Shizuru is one of the characters, and maybe the character that has received the most buffs. she is completely changed now. She's faster. She does more damage. Her moves are faster. She can her hurtbox. A lot of the hurtbox has been changed. She is now looking to be one of the best characters. She was not that great when the game came out, and they're looking to change that here because she has been getting buffs like crazy. I think she has the most changes here, and pretty much all of them are actually buffs, which is crazy. Ash Crimson, on the other hand, has also received some buffs, and he was started to show up in tournaments lately. People are starting noticing him and seeing that he's a strong character, and some people were hoping he's gonna get nerfed. He didn't. He's actually getting a little bit buffed, and as you can see, far standing HP is now cancelable by special moves or super moves, which is that's gonna be scary. So he's, like his crouching LP is a little bit faster, just by 1 frame though. Jump LP increased duration by 2 frames. He is getting some buffs, and the Sans-Culotte has expanded attack hitbox forward. That's scary. That is scary. Again, Pluvio's expanded hitbox forward on the first hit. He is getting buffed. Elizabeth, I was a little bit, if you've been following me lately, I'm trying to incorporate Elizabeth. I love playing as her, and I was thinking about getting her into the team, but she is getting nerfed in here. So close standing LK, yeah, no cancelable. Far standing LK now cancelable, so this is all good. Crouching LP is a little bit faster. That's great. Crouching HK, yes, that's all. Those are all buffs. So she is getting some buffs. I'm not saying she's nerfed. However, there are some changes here. Which is she cannot. But again, this is part of the game that her reflect now. The LP reflect cannot reflect projectiles anymore. It just nullifies them. And I think this is the overall new meta of the game, which is trying to make projectiles not as strong. So also her reverse DP is slower. That overhead was being spammed, and it was such a big thing that she had. But yeah, that was nerfed now. It's a bit slower. Kukri, I haven't seen much about him honestly, but according to Frionel, who plays as him, he said he's been severely nerfed. Even though I've seen that he's now invulnerable to projectiles, his air Bossa Shogeki remove projectile startup protection, so that's a nerf. Change projectile position, increase invulnerability duration. So I don't play him, so it was difficult for me to understand from this, but according to Frionel, he's been really nerfed. Cronin has got some buffs. I think he's gonna be even more dangerous now. Who else? Not a lot of changes to Angel. Kula, some buffs. Little bit. Some moves are a little bit faster. Far standing HK is now cancelable. Most of the moves actually have gotten a little bit faster. But Yashiro is one of the characters who also has got quite the buff. So this is going to be interesting. We're going to be seeing a lot of Yashiro. Expanded hitbox for his crouching HP, reduced overall frames for crouching LP, expanded distance recognition for close standing HK, jump LP, reduced downward facing hurtbox, jump HP, increased attack frames, jump HP, expanded attack hitbox, reduced combo scaling value, increased damage for hits for his missile might bash. So in general, Yashiro has gotten strong. And he's one of the characters right now. You have Yashiro, you have Shizuru. They have really gotten the good part of this patch. Shermie as well is getting buffed. She has increased movement and dash. Far standing LP is now cancelable. Far standing LK is cancelable. Crouching LP faster. Crouching HP faster. She also has some invulnerabilities now. Yes, her axial spin kick, the normal version, is now invulnerable to projectiles during the attack, which is very scary. And the damage has been changed from she's doing more damage. Shermie is definitely getting buffed here. So Chris, I'm not gonna talk much about Chris. Small buffs in there. K-Dash, also an interesting character who might be very viable now in the new patch because he's been really buffed. As you can see here, reduced the overall frames for many of his attacks. His crouching HP now moves forward on startup. Jump HP reduced attack startup so a lot of the moves are faster. Increased route buffer for Iron Trigger. Moves forward on startup for the EX version. So in general, again, I'm not gonna go through each one of them, but he is decreased landing recovery. K-Dash has been made strong. You know, Maxima a little bit faster, a little bit more damage, so a bit of nerfs and a bit of buffs in there. Whip surprisingly got a huge amount of buffs. Increased movement speed for the dash, reduced overall frames, far standing HP cancelable, far standing HK reduced attack startup. So again, faster startups, less frames for many of the moves, expanded hitbox for the boomerang shot, greatly reduced recovery on hit. She is really, and again, I'm not going through each one of these things, but I've seen them earlier. So you have Whip, also a potential for one of the great characters now of the King of Fighters. 15, not a whole lot of changes for Antonov. A little bit of nerfs there, not much. He's a bit faster, but also his damage for some of the moves is reduced. Ramon, not big changes either. King of Dinosaurs was a strong character, and he was gonna remain to be strong. He has less recovery in some of the moves and increased opponent knockdown duration and the super Zetsumetsu Hurricane. Few buffs in there. Not a whole lot, but I think he was already a strong character. Leona, reduced combo scaling value. So Leona also a little bit of buffs there. The Moon Slasher removed invulnerability, so that's not good for Leona. That's absolutely is a nerf. But invulnerable to air attacks immediately after attack startup. So that's going to be interesting to see this trade-off. Now it's not invulnerable on the ground, but invulnerable to air attacks. We'll see how that trade-off is gonna work. The Slash Saber now has an LK version, which you have that gonna translate. Now the big one that everyone's been waiting for, Ralph. So what happened to Ralph? Well, Ralph is gone. He's done for. He has been nerfed. He has been severely nerfed, I must add, and it was expected. So his far standing HK, remember that one that hits from the like from 2 blocks away? Well, reduced upper and forward face inside of hitbox, increased the attack from 9 frames to 11, so it's slower. The hitbox is smaller, increased overall frames by 4, added hurtbox right before attack triggers, which was what people hated. There was no trade-off. He would always win if there was a trade between his far standing HK and any other attack. So that is gone, and that changes everything. Many of his moves have been slowed down. Crouching LK, Dynamite Ralph Punch, the hurtbox has been expanded, so that's a nerf. Dynamite Ralph Punch greatly increased overall frame, so it's slower. Reduced knockable distance on block, changed follow-up attack window to 0. Dynamite Ralph Punch reduced attack, so that's a little bit. That's not a nerf there, but in general, Ralph has been nerfed heavily. He's still a good character, but now he's a normal character. My boy Clark Steele expanded the grab box forward for the Death-like driver. Vulcan Punch now has an HP version, which it didn't have. We'll see how that's gonna work. Frankensteiner now considered on ground during movement, and also it increases the power gauge by 100 in the case where the flashing elbow doesn't trigger after hit. So bit of a buff in there. Terry. Let's see what happened. Close standing LK now a low. Wow, okay. Reduced overall frames by 2. Close setting HK, reduced attack startup from 8 frames to 6 frames. Reduced overall frame. Broadened distance recognition. Crouching LK, increased attack startup from a little bit slower. Reduced the front size hitbox. Jump HP, expanded attack hitbox. Jump LK, expanded attack hitbox upwards. Reduced above facing hurtbox. Jump in, blow back. Added the hurtbox right before the attack triggers. Croc shoot, increased attack startup to 20 frames. Decreased the damage. Reduced knockback distance. Now it's closer to the opponent when it lands. So all these are nerfs, absolutely nerfs. Power charge. Greatly increased overall frames on whiff. Power dunk. Increased combo scaling value. Power dunk. Buster Wolf. Reduced physical and grab. But there was nothing to the Burn Knuckle. As you can see here. So the Burn Knuckle is still gonna surprise people, but he was nerfed. He was absolutely nerfed. Not as much, I think, as Ralph, but he was nerfed. Andy expanded attack hitbox. So Andy was actually short in active frames, 1 frame, now moves forward during attack. Changed opponent, back first hit, expanded hitbox. Increased Zanaken, increased movement speed. So a bit of nerfs, bit of buffs. Not sure how that's gonna translate at the end. Joe Higashi was one of the characters that just a few weeks ago people are starting to see that he's maybe as strong as Ralph and Terry, and he got away with murder pretty much because he wasn't nerfed. In fact, there's some buffs here. Some of his attacks are faster. So Joe Higashi, we're gonna see a lot of Joe Higashis for sure. Rio expanded attack hitbox forward, reduced attack startup. A little bit of buffs here for Ryo Sakazaki. Again, we'll see how that's gonna translate. Robert Garcia again. Robert Garcia looks like he's gonna be one of the strong characters. It was already very strong as it is, but now his reduced upper slide hitbox for the blowback. His Hien Senpu Kyaku, the HK version, now is faster, which is crazy. It was already fast. A reduced float after hit, expanded hitbox in the 4th hit. So he wasn't really changed much. He's still gonna be very viable. King, my King, which I play. I use her at my as my anchor. Close standing HP, reduced attacks a bit faster. Far standing LK, now cancelable by special moves. Crouching HK, reduced attack startup to 7 frames. Tornado kick, now cancelable from climax super. Special moves from climax. What's that supposed to mean? Cancelable from. Okay, so you can cancel from it to climax, I guess. Okay. Trap shot, increased overall frames. So, okay, trap shot EX was very strong. I gotta say that it was crazy. Now, and it was invulnerable, so that changed. Had total invulnerability, now just invulnerable in air attacks. So that's a nerf right there. Mai, also one of the strongest characters right now, and she seems to be getting somewhat of buffs in here rather than nerfs, so I think Mai is gonna stay one of the top characters as well. Yuri Sakazaki changed the motion of the Shatter Strike. I have no idea what that means. This is very strange. Why would they change the Shatter Strike just for Yuri? Expanded attack hitbox, reduced attack style. She has also been buffed with, faster moves. Athena changed the motion for Shatter Strike also. I don't know what they mean by that. Blue Mary. So these, small change. I mean, good amount of changes, but again, it's too early to say. It looks like it's generally buffs for Mai and Blue Mary. Vanessa has been hit hard as well. So she followed Ralph here, and she was really hit hard. A lot of nerfs. She is not gonna be as good as she is now. So many changes. Reduced upper side hitbox, expanded hurtbox, reduced overall frames, reduced knockback, increased scaling value. It's just, she's been hit really hard. Just like, I think Ralph and Vanessa have been the 2 characters that were hit really hard by nerfs in this patch. Luong, I don't play Luong. She has more damage, a little bit faster, so again, she mostly has gotten some buffs. Rock Howard also an interesting character that we'll start seeing in tournaments more. he's already strong. There was some nerves here, honestly. Rising tackle can now be cancelled on hit. This is a buff. Hard edge, expanded hurt box, expanded attack hitbox forward. So rising tackle is stronger. Some nerfs, some buffs. Will be interesting to see how that translates to in the game. Be Janet, increased movement speed for the dash, expanded attack hitbox. So in general as well, she actually get some really cool buffs, and that's gonna be interesting. Now, Gato, man, Gato, my battery character, has been nerfed. Unfortunately, I was afraid it's gonna happen, and it did. So his crouching HK is slower, no longer moves forward. Jump HP has an expanded body hurt box. Jump HK reduced front size hitbox. Added a hurt box right before attack triggers. Jumping blowback expanded hurt box. Quacking Fang reduced cancel buffer. So just, man, Gato, dude. Gato has been hit really hard as well. And we'll see what happens. Decreased damage for the EX version of the Arrow Fang. Expanded hitbox for counterattack Fang. Alright, the attack frames of the part of strike increased by 3. So in general, Gato has been nerfed. Absolutely nerfed. So let's see. A Lightning Fang greatly increased landing recovery. That's not good. That's not good. He's been nerfed. Gato has been nerfed, which is sad. Which makes me sad. I'm sad right now. Omega Rugal, close standing LK, reduced attack startup, double tomahawk, now moves forward, increased recovery and whiff, reduced attack startup. A little bit of buffs for Mr. Rugal Bernstein here, but in general, let me just go back here. So a lot of big changes, but just to recap, some characters have got really strong with this patch. Those are K-Dash, Chizuru, B Janet. Those have all gotten some really, Benimaru. These have gotten some really noticeable buffs. Characters who were really hurt in terms of nerfing. You have Raph, you have Vanessa, Gato, a little bit Terry, not a whole lot, not as much as I expected. And the other characters have overall, they've had some nerfs, some buffs, but overall they seem to be, better right now. So we'll see how that's gonna translate when the patch drops later today, actually at midnight. So I'll be covering that as well. Once it drops, we'll do a video where we go through the whole thing and see what this whole changes are gonna mean for this new version of KOFXV. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and until next time, thank you guys for watching.